I will say, so your character we talked about before has hunts monsters.
Mm.
You know, that's true, right? Correct me
Yes,
if I'm wrong. I'm
that
talking about
is
your character here, okay?
that
And
is his whole thing.
somewhere, in this kingdom you're in, you're at some small tower and something, doesn't matter where, some person whispers of a large bounty in the town of Stormshine.
Stormshine.
You've never been there, you know of it, but so and also we'll be very flexible in role playing this game. So like just say stuff, and if it ends up like you would have known it, I can just correct you, and like I'll
Yeah.
obviously let you like change if your actions or something.
Okay.
So pretty much don't be afraid to role play, and then
Foche's just not afraid.
we will start with you're walking
Mm.
towards Stormshine,
The music helps so
and
much. Yeah.
the music helps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're walking towards Stormshine. You see all around you is just grassy plains and forests, and then leading up this hill,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you're under like a canopy of large trees, and sort of the shadows of the leaves are like on the ground beneath you, and you're just marching up this path, and you can see the gates of this town made completely out of sort of like cracked, almost hurriedly put together stone.
Mm.
Um, and as you get maybe about, I'm trying to think of distance, 40 feet from the entrance,
Okay.
you get this sort of shudder, like a
Mm.
shift
Mm.
in yourself. You're not a frightful person,
Mm-hmm.
and you notice just sort of painting all around you, the grass, the leaves, all turn like a very dry copper color.
Mm.
You
Like a
know,
sepia filter.
sort of, except
Mm-hmm.
everything is clear. It's just like the grass, the leaves turn that color. The bark is still the same,
Mm.
and the sky above you, it's evening time now, um, has turned sort of a deep red orange. Obscured by a lot of darkened clouds,
Mm.
and you approach the gates. So that's where I'll hand it off to you. That's where you're starting.
I think that Foch is wearing a kind of a dark green robe that goes to like his wrists, and he's wearing his cloak, and he would look down at his hand, which is not covered with anything right now. Is it also copper colored, or is it just
No,
everything else around? Good information.
everything else.
If I kind of look at the blade of my scythe,
Mm-hmm.
does it look copper colored as well?
No, nothing you have or have brought in have changed in color. It
Mm.
it feels more like this is the true color, and sort of you walk through a mirage from the
Mm.
outside, and now that you're kind of here, that shudder you felt is kind of like feels very much more real. Even though
Mm.
you thought it was real before, now that you're seeing this, you're like, oh, this this is actually the place that I'm looking at here.
Mm-hmm. Are there any guards or anybody that's at the gates? Are there doors, or is it just open?
So there's forest all around this place, and so
Mm.
you can only see like two kind of big wooden doors. There's like a wooden or a stone wall that goes to the side, but you can't really see it too far because of the tree coverage. But
Mm-hmm.
the wooden doors are sort of just open, kind of like swaying in the wind.
Mm.
nobody's there you can see.
I think that Foche would be cautious as he's walking towards these doors. I think he would, not like in a ready stance, but I think he would draw his scythe and just kind of hold it by his side like a pole arm as he walks towards the doors. How high are these walls, would you say?
Walls are probably like 15 feet high.
Okay.
Not crazy, but you know.
Foche, I think, is first going to just peek his head in between the wooden areas to see what's past the wall, but not walk in just yet.
Okay. Can you give me... if it's easier to be in Foundry just for the checks, we can. Or you can just do them yourself too.
I like my physical dice.
Okay.
My little knickknacks.
Okay. Yeah, give me a... Yeah, just perception.
A 22.
22. So, you know, we're not there as players, but you also have your hearing going in there, and that's a big thing that we can't sort of grasp. But now, and it's very quiet, and you peek your head through. It sort of creaks a little bit, but you don't hear like anything in the immediate vicinity. And you look through, and the dirt path continues, just with some more trees just further in, and there's no one or nothing you can really see.
Like no buildings. Like this is just a wall in the middle of like the wood for some reason.
Yeah, I say you can see maybe about like 10 feet past door, you know, but yeah.
I think he has. Well, I'll ask. Has he ever experienced anything of this kind of color shift in his travel? He's been to many different places, hunting many different beasts. Is this unique? You know, this is not unique. Something that's ever happened.
This is unique, but you've seen so many unique things, it's not like bewildering.
Okay.
It's just sort of like new.
Then I think that just to have a higher vantage point, I think he would like to try and climb the right side of the wall to the top to see if he can see any further, just to be cautious. Because it seems like he's kind of past some kind of magical barrier.
Okay. Yeah, give me a athletics or acrobatics, whichever.
I'll do athletics. I also just chose something with climbing. I can climb with one of my hands occupied, so that works great because I'm holding my scythe. Then an 18.
18, you can climb it with, without any issue.
Yeah, lots of cracks in there. What do I see when I kind of crest? Yeah, I'm not being super stealthy about it, but I am climbing up, and I'm just trying to peer over. Do I get any better visuals, or is it just a continuing wooden path or dirt path?
You can, if you peek your head over the wall, you can see maybe like 30 feet down the path. There's some a little building, little stone building, and 1, 2, 3 here. Much further down, or I guess up if you went up a hill, but down the path.
Yep.
Is like a main sort of castle fort. So you can see that there's stuff further in. Just sort of, there's this a little bit more you have to walk once you get past those doors.
Okay, then he will climb down, and he seems like there doesn't roll. I guess before I do that, can I make a perception check looking for any kind of traps or ambushes of any kind? Like, see if I can see any guards now from this vantage point.
Yes.
22 again.
22, very good. I will say, so you notice that a little bit closer to those buildings, the trees look a little different. They have like attachments, you know,
Mm.
Like
Like just
things
things
that are
hanging off of
man-made.
them.
Yeah,
Okay.
can't see what,
Yeah.
but you do notice that. Besides that, nothing you can see.
Then he will climb down, and he feels safe enough, but still cautious to walk through the doors.
Yeah. Okay.
And kind of he sees this little building. He would like to, walk through. Are there more buildings, or does this seem to be the only building along this path?
Yeah, there's probably about like 4, if you, I would say like the order of it is like you can walk through these doors, maybe like 20 feet, then there's the trees with the objects on them, and then that goes for about 10 feet. It's not huge, and then it's these buildings. There's maybe like 4 in your view. It's like a little street. It could branch off to the left or right, but you can't really see. You'd have to go further down the street,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can see the main fort looming over everything right now.
Well, what does the fort look like?
So the fort is crooked. It's on top of this hill, and it has a like sort of not like Leaning Tower of Pisa vibe. It's like built to be crooked. It looks like it's trying to counterbalance the hill. Like it feels like something was sort of just hurriedly trying to be made here and established. And everything here, all these buildings are made of just gray, sort of chipped stone, not like uniform in any way. And this fort has, a layer of a wall, smaller wall around the base, and it has maybe, 3 or 4 towers, looming up it, but it is just sort of as an entirety leaning up towards the left.
Okay.
To sort of compensate for the curve of the hill.
Foche will find that odd. Well, are most of the buildings that he's seen in this world, are they normally straight? I'll say that.
Yeah, no, that'd be weird.
Okay, then that is weird. Then he would like to inspect some of the stuff that's on the tree.
Okay. I'll tell you what they are initially without a roll, and then if you want to look into it deeper, you can.
Okay.
So, as you walk down this path, you notice the first few trees have these things hanging on them. A couple trees closer to the back of this group, right next to some of these buildings, you can tell there's 1 or 2 people at the base of them as well. But first of all, the objects on the trees, you notice that they are people hanging from the trees.
Yeah.
And you can see that on each of their foreheads, an X is sort of carved into the flesh. And that's what you can just see.
Yeah. And so these are fully sized people.
These are people, yeah. They all just look like humans. They're hanging from these trees. There's maybe about a dozen of them in the first 2 trees you're seeing. Maybe about 25, 30 total.
From the people that are sitting at the base, Foche would not want to move any closer. He's certainly much more on guard. Exactly. But are they just sitting there? Are they standing there? Or do they also appear to be dead?
It's 2 men. They are wearing these sort of like robes. It's like, imagine like they're wearing like full on, black robes, and they're wearing, I don't know the right term for it. It's like you put it on over yourself, it's only like in the front and back of you. There's no sleeves at all. It's just like a poncho kind of, but doesn't go all around you. They're wearing those. They have sort of they're like dark purple with, gold highlights. There's some kind of symbol on it or something you can't really see. And they seem to be looking up at some of the bodies on the tree they're at and noting something down. Okay. One of them's carrying a torch so they can see. But yeah.
Oh yeah, and what time? It's evening time, you said, around?
Yeah, it's like dusk, so it's getting dark.
Gotcha. Before Foche tries to approach anybody or anything, do any of the lights on or are there any lights on in the building? Like any torchlight?
Lights are on in all the buildings. There's torches in the streets. You can see it's a lit up place. There's torches all around the castle wall and on the walls of the castle.
Okay. That's good at least.
Yes.
Is there like a clear path to the people that are sitting a little bit further back by the trees, or like would he has to like wade through some hanging bodies?
It's clear path. There's no trees hanging over the road. So you would just go down the road, and then like in 15 feet they would just be to your right on a tree, like off to the side of the path.
Okay.
So you'll walk right past them if you go down this road.
Alright. Well then, Foche will kind of walk up, and I'll say with the way that Foche walks, when he's being all sneaky like, he kind of walks on the balls of his feet, and that makes it, his heels aren't touching the ground, and so he's kind of creeping around. He's a lot softer, but he wears boots that on the heels of them, there's like a steel plate. So when he just walks normally, like a normal person walks, it is much more, if it was like on wood or something, it would be like a tap sound, whereas on dirt it would probably be just more of a thud sound, because it's like slamming into the ground. So this whole time I would say he's been walking kind of on the balls of his feet, making not much noise, but when he wants to be known that he's approaching, he does, and so he will probably from about 20 feet back start to approach these people that are taking notes on the bodies, and he will say, well, hello, strangers. Is this here Stormshine?
And they will just sort of, they're not startled, they'll just sort of turn and look at him. And you can't see their faces, they're sort of obstructed like by their hoods. It's getting kind of dark. One is holding the torch kind of next to his head, so that makes it even harder to see his face. And the one holding the notepad turns to you and says, "Hunter, is it?"
Foche will slowly nod his head. He says, "Yes, they call me the Beast Reaper. Have you heard of me?"
We'll see, maybe.
Come on, is he a fan? Is he a fan of my work?
Is he a fan? Let's see.
Has he heard of this level 4 character? In a place he's never been?
Nope.
No.
This guy hasn't heard you. Can't say I have. It's so many Beast Reapers and the like come through here. It's you've made good time. Perhaps you could do something to quell this terror.
Well, collecting the souls of terrorizing beasts is my specialty. So, is there something haunting your town? I heard that there was a bounty out on a creature that was terrorizing Stormshine. Is there any info you could give me on that?
They sort of like eye each other. You can tell there's like a pregnant pause here.
Hmm.
Um, and one of them like shifts a step backwards a little bit.
Hmm.
And the first one says, "Why don't you just make yourself at home and continue on? We've got work to do."
Hmm. I would say Foche would nod and would say, could you, with just a simple nod or shake of your head, could you indicate whether there is a beast in this town?
The first one looks up kind of at the sky, uh, and sort of does a glance back at you and
Mm-hmm.
gives a curt nod, and then
Mm-hmm.
quickly, it's sort of like like as if they pretended they were looking down the whole time, and
Mm-hmm.
they go back to writing as if you weren't there.
He says, Foch says, I understand, gentlemen. Thank you for all your help. And he will continue on, once again, using his heel to walk around. So it's certainly not being stealthy at all. Like if anybody were just listening, you'd hear just this of someone walking down the dirt path. Glancing at sky. Interesting. Okay. I'm very scared to speak on anything. I would say he walks a little bit more into the town. You said that there's a crossroads of sorts, right? You'd like to walk kind of towards the center of that, just do a 360 and see, is there anyone outside as well, just like these gentlemen
No one's
were,
outside.
No one's outside.
There are clearly people inside some of these places. There's something that looks clearly like a tavern, just like a medium-sized tavern. There's no signs on these buildings, so you're sort of just having to gauge. But there's a tavern-like building. You can see just through the windows, people are in there drinking, kind of sitting. A couple buildings seem maybe like homes. The lights aren't on.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like they're not big enough to be anything besides that. And I'll say, like, to give you a visual, like you're at a crossroads here. On your right could be that tavern. On the left side could be a few of those homes. Directly in front of you is sort of a decent-sized stone chapel.
Mm.
No insignias on it, nothing like that. But you can
Mm-hmm.
tell from the pointed roof that it seems to be a place, a more sacred
Worship.
place.
Yeah.
There's maybe like a little store to the right of that chapel.
Mm-hmm.
Not many other buildings besides various homes and dwellings sort of within the trees.
Mm.
And then of course, if you continue, it's sort of like you're here and the chapel's in front of you. You could go around, and either way, it'll just lead you up to the castle. That's sort of what you can see here.
Gotcha. Let me get a new pen. This one's running out.
Not too much to write.
It's been my trusty note-taking pen for so long. And Foch is kind of weirded out. It was eerily quiet when I entered. Does it look like the people in the tavern are being merry or kind of just sitting there?
Not being merry, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It's not silent. They're talking to each other, but from the outside, you probably can't hear anything.
Well, Foch knowing that it's getting a little bit later, knows that he could go to the tavern at any time, but I think that he would kind of want to approach this chapel of sorts.
Okay.
And is there seem to be a front entrance that's just open or available, or is it a closed door?
It's right in front. The main entrance would be right in front of you as you're coming down the street.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly by design, and it is a closed door, with an insignia carved into it. It's wooden. Give
Mm.
me a perception check. We can see what you can derive from this insignia.
23.
Okay, seems clearly to be an eye. Just the image of an eye. It's got, like 3 eyelashes, just a pupil, nothing crazy about it. And it seems to be perfectly at eye level with you as you are looking at it. It's just dead ahead in front of you. That's all.
Do I recognize this eye from anything? Any kind
Give
of
me
religion or
a
anything?
society check.
Mm-hmm. A 3.
Nope.
I think Foche would at first try the door. You try and push it.
It opens.
Okay.
Easily.
As he enters the chapel, just what is the general vibe? Are there people in here? Is it well lit in this place, or does it seem occupied by anybody?
Okay, so it's not super well lit. There's candles throughout the room. You can see.
Mm-hmm.
There seems to be just sort of stone benches without even any backs.
Mm.
Like maybe 3 rows on either side, so I guess 6 benches total. And sort of a main little walkway down. There's a little podium at the back, and a lot of candlelight in the back. There's like a book on the podium. There's some sort of like loose pieces of paper on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
You can see a door on the back wall. No one's in this room that you're in right now.
Because there's no one in this room, I think Osh would continue to walk through without being quiet, and would kind of walk, and I'd imagine it would kind of echo in here as he's walking. Just the stone building, and he kind of is walking forwards towards that door, but he does take a glance at some of the papers that are along the ground. Do they just seem like blank pieces of paper?
They got writing on them. Give me a perception check. We'll just go off of one you find on the ground.
18.
18. So it seems to be written simply. Not a lot of colorful language. Sort of with something that would be inscribed here, it seems to be just like a fraction of some sort of passage that maybe people would like recite or say together at some sort of service. And what it says is, the eye above us, we will see. We will see. And if you pick up a few others, it seems to be all things from this passage. It seems to be like a very common thing that maybe just a lot of people have when they come in, and some people just leave it on their seat behind them or something like that. That's about the best detail you can get from those pieces of paper.
Now, from any of the information that I heard about, 2 things. One, any of the information that I heard about the creature in this town of Stormshine, is there any Was there any description of it, or just that it's terrorizing this town?
There is no description. Um, it had a depiction of like a sketch of like a four-legged beast,
Mm,
and it seemed to you it was just like a sketch of what someone probably assumed
yeah.
would be a beast. So you can go off of that if you want.
Mhm.
Maybe they had info about it, but that's about all you have for the description.
Yeah. Foch is definitely thinking more in his head of some kind of flying creature, is what he's thinking of. But all this eye stuff is certainly making him think that there's something watching over this place. And I think the second thing is based off of just my general knowledge of beasts or these kinds of creatures. Is there anything that he knows about? Like, has he heard of any kind of creature that just has an ever present eye, or any kind of monster that has an eye across an entire area that could see?
What sort of check would you like to do for that? I don't know if you have any special skills.
I would do a nature check. I don't know if it's within the realm of
That.
nature, but that's
Yeah.
definitely more of his
Nature can go for that.
his wheelhouse, and he gets a 20, unnatural 20.
Okay. It's not something you've heard of specifically, but based on the things you've seen, it is certainly not out of the realm of possibility. I think the idea of something seeing you when it shouldn't be able to be seeing you makes complete sense. I
Mm-hmm.
think the idea of something that is ever watching over everyone to you seems like it would be a fair more powerful or more of a stretch than most monsters you run into.
Mm-hmm. And then I would say that then I'll say Foch continues to go to the door at the end of the room and
Okay.
see if it's locked in any way, or if he can also open this as well.
This door is locked. There's no
Mhm.
insignia on the door, um, but you can't open it just by trying.
It's locked, but
Yeah.
um, I'd like to do just a general, or no, I'll knock on it actually.
Okay.
I'd like to knock on the door, and just a simple knock. No
Okay.
words.
There is a small pause, and the door that you came into slams shut. Um,
Don't like that.
and you hear a voice coming from the door you're talking to now, you're knocking on,
Mm-hmm.
sort of hush and go, "Who are you? I don't recognize. Who are you?"
I'll Foch, a little bit startled by that. He'll say, well, I am the Beast Reaper. I am here to take care of this town's problem.
A hunter. A hunter, yes, you're here to hunt.
Something like that, yes.
Do me a favor and step back for me.
I would oblige the door and step back a
Okay.
little bit.
The door will creak open a little bit, and out comes this kind of hunched man. He's wearing the same robes you saw earlier,
Okay.
same fit. Um, give me any sort of perception or investigation, whatever check. I know we don't have investigation
Yeah.
to see what you can glean immediately off of this guy.
17.
17. So because you've seen this fit before, you're sort of ready to try and look at more of the details. Um, you notice that there is a gold etched eye on his front.
Okay.
Um, and you'll notice that his face is sort of obscured by shadow, but you get a glint of like a red hue coming from his face.
Hmm.
Not like his entire face,
Yeah.
but it's sort of just like parts of his face. It's like you blink and it changes. It just feels, get that sort
Off.
of indication.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And
And he peers out, and I'm standing there.
yeah,
I'll
and
let him say whatever he says or do whatever he's doing.
he will immediately sort of turn and walk towards the podium. And he says, "Are you the religious type?" And sort of he'll make his way over to the podium, maybe like 7 feet away.
He will say, I've certainly had some of my run-ins with some of the gods' creatures. But myself, no, I'll say. Not super religious.
A shame. A shame. But we all find our comforts in whatever gives us pleasure. And he sort of opens his book on the podium. He's not acknowledging where you are, what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do anything while he does that? You can if you want.
I'll kind of walk over to be not directly next to him, but like probably 5 feet next to him, just trying to look into whatever he's doing with his book, but not like peering over his shoulder, just kind of glancing over.
Yeah, he won't do anything. And you notice he's like looking for something. He'll like flip a couple pages and be looking and looking back. And what's weird to you is that every page is blank.
Mm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but he'll do that for maybe about 30 seconds.
I'll say, yeah. As he's kind of doing that for about 10 seconds, I would say Foche should say, are there things on that page that you can read?
There are things on this page we both can read, but there are things on this page not everyone can see.
Hmm. Is there any way that I can see them as well?
If you would be willing to open your heart up to believe, anyone can see what's around them.
What does that entail?
Come to our service.
Yeah.
Come to our service tonight. It will be held in about an hour.
Mm.
If you are willing, you may be granted the light. If not, at least then you'll know.
Hmm. Service in hour. Foch nods his head and says, well, I'll stroll around the town, but I would like to come to this service, see what it's all about, get to know what is within those pages, especially if it'll help me with this town's problem. Do you think there is a problem in the town?
I believe you are meaning a beast of some kind, granted that you are a hunter.
Foch kind of nods his head and says, I do. Do I have a physical piece of paper for the bounty? Or is it just something I heard?
You could have taken it. Yeah, like a wanted post or whatever.
Yeah, then he'll kind of pull out and he'll say, well, I'm not in the business of saying whether some beast is terrorizing, but there is certainly someone who believes and is willing to pay that there is a beast causing a problem within this town. Do you believe in such things?
I believe in such rumors. I have not seen one myself, and I would say there is more to be seen to this town, I have learned, than what may appear in front of you. Stay cautious, hunter.
Foch will kind of nod his head and he'll say, I understand, then. It seems like coming to the service will help in this endeavor. So
Yes, yes.
I will come later. But
And may I
yes.
ask one more thing before you leave, hunter?
Yes.
And he'll flip to a certain page of the book. What is your age?
Hmm.
You can tell me in years, but you can say it would be in days.
Yeah. He would say, let me make sure I get it right.
In Sumia years.
Yeah, let's see what you. I could do it in my head because I'm a good math boy, but I don't want to, so I'm gonna do it here. Oh, well, about 22,000 days. He's 55.
And this guy will sort of look down at his paper, and he'll go, "We look forward to seeing you, hunter."
Foch will kind of nod along, and he will nod and he will say, the eye above us, we will see, we will see. And I want to kind of gauge his reaction.
So what do you say exactly?
I say, the eye above us, we will see, we will see. Like what was written down on that piece of paper.
Yeah.
To see if that has any reaction to it.
What would his reaction be in this moment? I think he would close his book and I think you can give me a perception check. I'll give you something for this, for being so bold, but it'll be interesting to
23.
see. 23. You notice a quick sort of, it's like a minuscule, like a micro movement, but under his hood, you notice a sort of tinge of annoyance. He doesn't slam the book shut or anything. He closes it naturally, but you notice something is sort of irked when you say that. And then he'll say, I best continue my preparations.
What is your name, if I may ask?
My name is Cornelius.
Yes. Cornelius. Well, nice to meet you. I'm Foch.
A pleasure, Foche.
I'll see you in an hour, Cornelius. And I will walk away.
Okay.
Heels on the ground. Clomping away like a horse.
Clomp.
Mm-hmm. And I will leave. And is there anyone outside once I leave? Or is it still just empty streets? Empty. Then I will say I would like to go to the tavern.
Okay.
And I think that he would walk over, and if he can glance over, does he still see the people kind of taking notes at the under the tree?
They're gone. It's now fully dark outside.
Nice. Okay. I would like to... What kind of doors are in this tavern? Just a single door?
Single door, wooden door.
Then I would say that he wouldn't like slam it open, but he would kind of... He likes to make an entrance into new places, so I think Foch would quickly open the door and then, step in all like slow, like cowboy-like, but not like super slow like a movie, but just like da-dum, 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 as he walks in confidently, even though it's a completely new place. But as he's kind of walking in, what does the place look like?
It looks like a shoddily kind of put together tavern. There's a bar, it's, wooden stuff, a few wooden tables, some benches or stools. There's only about 4 people in here, including the bartender.
Hmm.
You know, one of the people, you'd get this as a glance. There's a man in some sort of armor. You can see he has like a sword
Mm-hmm.
leaned up against his chair and, a helmet to the side. There just seems to be not like peasant woman, but just a plainly dressed woman with red hair,
Mm-hmm.
just sort of sitting at the bar. The other man was sitting at a table.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third person would be another one of those robed figures with the purple thing. Sort of chilling. Nobody's talking to each other.
Is there a vague reaction to my entering, or is it just everybody's going about their business?
Give me a check, please.
Oh man, I keep rolling like the same number. 22.
Okay. Yeah. You won't notice them all at once. They're sort of spread out. The girl at the bar does not do anything. She's just drinking.
Mm-hmm.
The night guy glances up at you and sort of like scoffs to himself and goes back into his drink. And you don't notice what the robe guy does. He's over to like your right, the other two, and the bartender is sort of more to your immediate left.
Gotcha. Then I'd like to approach the bartender, and let's say, does he say anything as I approach, or kind of just looks at me?
No, he doesn't say anything. He just waiting for you to come in and order whatever the hell it looks like you're probably doing.
I'll say, well there, bartender, seems like you got a nice place here. I'm a little bit parched. Is there any way I could get just some water?
Water? Sure thing. It's on the house. Just sort of turn around and fill up a little wooden mug with some water from the spout.
Mm-hmm.
Hand it over to you.
Then I'd like to turn to the woman sitting at the bar, and I'd like to say, or Foche should say, well, hello there, ma'am. Is this, are you having a fine evening?
She glares at you for saying that. Like an angry glare.
I see the answer is no. I apologize.
And you notice when she turns and does that glare that she has a line on her forehead, one line. Seems to have been like a cut.
Now,
it's healing.
From that glance that I get, does it look like one half of a X?
Could be. Maybe not though.
Foch would note that and would look at the bartender and will say, we'll pull out a gold piece, and he'll put it on the table, and he'll say, I'd like to pay for whatever this woman likes to order for the rest of the night.
Sure thing. He'll take the gold piece, just sort of put it down.
And he'll glance back at the woman and he'll say, sorry for bothering you, miss.
And she goes, a pity, I was just about to leave. And she sort of goes back to sipping her mug.
Well, Foch will look at the bartender and will be like, well, you know, are just a little bit richer. Now, and Foch will sit at the bar, and he'll say, "Is this a slow evening for you, or is this about normal for today and around this time?"
He'll say, "I take it you're a hunter then. Don't seem to be from the area."
Foch will glance over at the man in the armor at the table. Is he looking at me in any capacity?
Nah, sipping his mug, sort of looking out the window.
Yeah, and I'll say, it seems everybody can tell that, but yes, I am a hunter. Do you get many of those around these parts, around in this town?
Yeah, we've had about half a dozen pass through, and you passed them on your way in. Pretty much would end up with the rest of them.
Foch will
I'd get
nod.
out of here if I were you.
And I see how they ended up, but do you have any information on how they ended up that way? What were their missteps, as it were?
The woman will immediately cut him off, and she will go, "It's the beast. The beast did it. It will take you too. You should leave."
Foch will turn to the woman and will say, "I appreciate that advice, but this is all I know how to do. And so if it is the beast that slays me, then that is how my life was meant to go."
She gives a little chuckle, and she just goes, "I was just trying to repay the gold coin, but you will make your own choices." Just sip her drink.
Foch will nod his head and will say, "Is there any advice that you can give a hunter? It seems as though that you all don't appreciate the beast being here."
They're both willing to talk to you. The man will say, "It's already taken 11 of us. 11 at least of just my regulars. Could be more. Almost triple of that have been taken just from..." And he sort of will glance at the robed man, and he'll just sort of stop his sentence there.
And he'll say, "Well, I have been to many a town where there is a beast terrorizing its patrons, and I know the misfortune that can be. But I will say that this is something I have not seen before. Such a dreary atmosphere. And he'll look at the bartender and will say, "Now, what is your name?"
My name is, I don't know how to spell it for you, Cerran. My name's Saren.
Gotcha. Well, it's nice to meet you, sir. My name is Foche. I'd like you to know my name, as I imagine that you all don't have much faith in me from the other hunters that have come in here and failed. But I am no normal hunter. I'm not in this for the gold or for the pride. I'm in here, and he is going to reach back kind of behind his head, and he's going to pull out this mask. And it's a mask that looks like a skull mask. Or it looks like a skull, basically. Kind of like it's got two sunken eyes, or two holes for eyes. and then just covering the mouth is just like an etching, like in black paint of like, almost cartoonishly. But just across the whole mask, it's wooden, and it's like painted white and black. And across the whole thing is just carved just a whole bunch of little, like, tally marks, basically, across the whole thing.
Cool.
And he says, I'm doing this for a much more personal reason. And he slides the mask over to the woman. And he'll say, every one of those etches signifies a beast I have taken the soul of. And I intend to do that with this town as well, and to clear you all of it. Now, I understand you not having faith. And it kind of glances at you, and it kind of even glances back at the man in armor if he's listening or paying attention at all to anything I'm saying. But he's looking around, and he says, I understand you all do not have faith. But know that I am much more experienced than any of those people that are hanging up on those trees as I entered in. I do not intend to have an etching in my skull. And he'll pick back up that mask. He'll say, I intend to add another etching to this. And then he'll put his mask behind his head.
The woman will have looked at the mask very solemnly and, seriously. And you can tell she sort of is sensing your resolve. And she'll tell you, if you're not going to leave, please free us of this curse. I've already lost too many to those trees. I'm not going to last much longer. Much less me. This place is not going to last much longer.
Mm-hmm.
If someone doesn't stop what's going on.
Foche will nod and will say, I promise you that I am well equipped to clear this curse. And he will kind of glance over. He will look now at the bartender and will kind of just stares at him, sees if the bartender says anything at all.
He'll say, the bartender has been giving sort of glances towards the robed man as he's been talking to you. And he's been like polishing cups or whatever, stacking things, but he's sort of running out of things to do to make it seem like he's busy. And he will... How will he do this? He'll sort of look at you and say, you do seem pretty fit yourself. You might help me with something in the back? And he'll sort of, look towards the back kitchen area, door, whatever.
Foche says, I'd be much obliged, and he will stand up and, he's been he kind of leaned his scythe up against the thing, but as he stands up, just as a little flourish, he's gonna kind of spin his scythe and then put it against his back, or like however scythes get attached to people, I don't know, but it looks cool, basically, is all I'll say. As he likes to walk, but he would like to look over at the robed figure and see what he's looking like as he's walking towards the back.
Okay, give me a perception check. There's going to be a high DC if you notice something that could help you here.
Come on, baby. Natural 1.
Natural 1?
1, yeah.
You aren't taking much notice of this guy. Yeah. He's wearing the same exact fit as 3 other people you've seen here. It's just, you feel like, of anything, you kind of know the most about these people right now. So
yeah. They seem
just one of them.
Either with the beast and or somehow against the beast, I don't know. But they're very aligned with something to do with eyes. So I think that Yeah, he would go into the back with Saren.
Give me a nat 20 roll flat
A
as you
nat,
enter this room.
a nat 20 roll.
Or just a
Yeah,
d20.
just a d20. You're just manifesting it. A 17. 17. I'll take it. And all the
So
possibilities.
as you step into this room, the door shuts behind you. It's not a scary room. It's just a lit back room. There's lights on, or candles, whatever.
Yeah.
There's some like big, barrels full of liquids, various ales or whatever. Probably like storage, some taps, like a work desk or whatever, with some like drawers, shelves. You make it about 5 seconds in this room. The door's shut, and you feel going up your back, up your spine. You feel it sort of a tingling in the back of your head, going all the way up to your forehead. And it's sort of burning this spot. And it's an intense pain. And it's so intense to where it feels like someone has put like a lit iron on your forehead, just out of nowhere. I don't know what this guy's pain tolerance is like, but how would he react if that happened?
Well, I'll say before that all happens, just he's walking in and he's following Saren in, or was Saren behind him?
You're following Saren in.
Okay, so Saren is in front of him. What is Saren doing when this is happening?
Saren's just walking over to his desk. While this is happening, Saren is still just walking over there.
I think that his pain tolerance is high, but I will say that he will quickly put a hand to his forehead. And what does he feel there?
He doesn't feel anything physically. It feels inside your head. It feels like something is trying to get out from within your head in that spot. But there's no like bulging skin or anything like that there. It doesn't feel hot or cold to the hand. And I will say, as soon as you make that motion, Saren is going to glance over to you, and his eyes are going to go wide, and he'll say, "Stop!" Like in a hushed tone.
I'll freeze and I'll just be like this, but in pain, obviously.
Do you feel it? What do you feel?
Pain. A pain in my forehead.
And he'll say, "Quiet. Just remove your hand. Let me see."
He'll just slowly move his hand away.
And Saren, he's looking at your forehead, and he'll he'll just go car like this. He'll just sort of look at your forehead and just sort of go, like he'll look at roll his eyes a little bit, just sort of, looking up like that. And he's going to look at you and go, "You've already got the sickness. That means the beast is coming for you."
Foche will, his eyes will be a little bit wide. He's trying like a little bit to, stay suave, but like, is the pain still in his head? Or is it subsiding now?
It probably lasts like a solid 20 seconds, full pain, and then the rest of that minute, it's going down until it's gone.
Then I'll say, "Oh, so I've been marked," is what you're saying.
It's sort of like that. I've only seen it. It's never happened to me. But it's always what happens to someone before the beast comes. Always. That woman out there, she's been marked. And if they find out, you'll receive another mark too.
Who was they? The eye cult? Or the eye people?
He'll sort of like nod his head.
Then he will reach back behind his robe and put on his mask. Now it's just a skull mask with just like these two eyes here. And he'll say,
"Right.
Do you see the mark on my head?"
I could see it in the moment It's gone now. I can. It must have faded, but you can never be too careful around them. They're they're not to be trusted. They're not. They're killing innocent people. I've only brought you back here honestly out of desperation. That we all will be dead very soon. It's
Mm-hmm.
something needs to be done.
Huh. 1 second. Notes. Marked.
There you go.
I'll say. What will say? Are there some kind of religious organization that is sacrificing for the beast? Are they just trying to appease it? Or did they come here with the beast as well?
They've always been here. It's I I don't know how it's related. The beast has started killing people in terrible ways, impossible ways, and the church has just sort of stepped in to offer their blessings and good tidings, and they say that they can see where the beast is coming.
Mm.
And they're trying to control it, but I don't believe them. They're killing people. They're killing people.
Foch nods says, well, I understand, and I appreciate that you are confiding in me. I may be marked, but understand that I also, I put a mark on my prey as well. And so I want the beast to be coming to me anyway.
And you'll
Now,
hear,
yeah.
while this is going on, you'll hear outside the building trumpets.
Hmm.
They'll go dun 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 dun, and then you'll hear a distant sort of rumble, like ch ch,
Hmm.
pretty far, but you hear it.
Would you
That
say
just
it's
happens to both of
been?
you speaking.
Would you say that's been roughly an hour since I spoke with the eye guy?
No,
Oh,
maybe like 35 minutes.
then I'll stop what I'm saying there, and I'll say, "Can you tell me what that is? Have you heard it before?"
He just like rubs his head, and he just like you can tell he's just like thinking to himself of
Mm-hmm.
like what's going on, and he just sort of like shakes his head, and he just motion over to his desk,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll say, "What do you know of the rulings of Stormshine?" And this is where you can give me a roll to
Yeah.
uh,
Like a society roll or what?
society works. If you have one that's better, that could fit, I'm fine with that too. I wouldn't say nature.
Yeah, no, survival would be my best. Like diplomacy, but like that's like persuading people. I wouldn't
Yeah,
say
I'd do
it's. Yeah,
society then.
let's just do society. Let's go an 18.
18. So you know that every major city is run by a sentry. It's
Mm-hmm.
governed by a sentry. And you know that they're royalty. And
Mm.
you'll know that Stormshine is a royal family.
Gotcha.
That's about the extent of what you know.
And I will say, or Foch will say, all I know is that the Stormshine is the Sentry family that controls it, and that's all I know of it.
And he'll sort of, you know, there's no time but one of them is coming here now. He's an animal. He goes on hunts for the beast, and it's just we don't have much time. He could come in here, and who knows what he'll do. He does anything he wants. And he was sort of like hurriedly open, and you can tell that sound now is marching.
Mm.
That's coming steadily closer, and he'll open his desk and he'll present to you a very, very carefully carved, intricate spirals and,
Mm,
this overlapping design of a wooden box,
mm.
just a very small wooden box. And he'll give it to you. He'll just hand it to you. And he'll say, I need you to take this. I don't know how much longer we all have. If anyone's going to take down the beast, you're the last hunter who's around. It's you or nothing else. And I've been keeping this away from the church and the royals. They want it desperately. You can't let them have it. Can't.
They
And you
will.
hear the marching get louder and louder.
Yeah. Foch will say they will not. What is in it?
And he is going to say, I need to go back out there. So it seems, as if things are natural.
Mm-hmm.
Look inside and be on your way.
Yeah. Is there?
Yeah.
Do I see an immediate exit from here, or does it look
Nope,
like I'm
you
gonna
gotta
have to
walk
leave
out
the same way? Okay.
Yep.
Then he leaves.
And he will say, yeah, that's it. He'll leave.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Then I will open up the box, and what's inside?
What's inside is very surprising to you.
Okay.
It is a creature like this big.
Okay.
It's a humanoid creature. It's a pale pink.
Okay.
It looks like a human. There's no clothes on them, but they have no like sex organs or anything. They're just
Just
sort of like
smooth.
a
Yeah.
smooth humanoid thing. They have two little antennae
Hmm.
and sort of fly-like wings. And as you open the box, a sort of dim pink glow emanates from them, and they're sort of laying with their eyes closed, and one of them opens and they begin to sit up and look at you. You've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah. How loud is the marching? Like Saren has just left. How much time would you say that I would gauge that I have before the marching is
Like
there?
2 minutes,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
2.5, 3 minutes.
Then I will kind of hold the box up and I'll say, I am going to protect you. What is your name? Who are you?
Flee.
Flee. Nice.
Flea.
Okay. Flee. And
We need to kill them.
Foch is nodding along. Yes. Do you have any information for how I can do that?
And Flea will immediately fly up out of the box, sort of in front of your face.
Hmm.
And when they're in the air, they're what they look like, but the light sort of just consumes their form. They have like a little pink orb in front of
Hmm.
you, sort of fluttering in front of you.
I get you.
And they'll sort of like be darting and buzzing around your head.
Hmm.
And take me to them. We need to kill them. They're going to kill me. We need to kill them.
Foch will say, Flee, I understand, but you must get in the box. I will take you to them, okay?
No, I'm not going in the box. You got a hood or something or a hat or I'll
Yes.
be quiet.
Yes. Flee, I understand. Yes. I am going to put down the box, and I have various like bags for carrying like the remains of all of the beasts that I've killed. So I have like one just empty bag, I'd say, and I'll kind of like open it up, and it'll be like this little bag, and I'll say, "Here, if you can stay in here, I will take you to them within the next hour or so."
And
Do
I'll
you-
go fly right in the
do you
middle of you
oh,
speaking.
okay. I'll say, okay.
you hear a little,
Oh, shit. I can
little
flee.
giggle.
And I'll quickly, like, kind of like tie it real quick, like not airtight, but just and like put it back with my stuff. And I'll say,
Right.
I'll just kind of stand there and just very like exasperated, don't know what's happening. So, uh, I think he'll take like 10 seconds to try and process what the fuck that was. And then he's still wearing his mask, and I think that Foch is going to keep his mask on while, because even though that he can't, you know, Saren couldn't see the mark, he's worried that the people with the things that can see other things that we can't see can see the mark. So he's going to continue to keep the mask on. And it's also like something that he likes to wear anyway.
Okay.
And let me quickly see real quick, because okay, I cannot yet use my action to hunt prey yet. I need to see the creature. But as soon
Okay.
as I do, like, that's the ranger's thing. It's like the
Yeah.
hunter's mark.
Right.
You get like +2 bonuses to perception checks when you're seeking and tracking and things like that. So don't have that yet because I have to see the creature. But I will say that after taking a second to process, he'll put Flea with his other stuff. Foch will then uh, take his scythe out. He had it stowed away, but now he just has it out as kind of a pole arm. And Foch, lots of thoughts are running through his head, but it's obviously a quickened thing, so I don't want to put too much thought. And what my first instinct, and what I think Foch's first instinct is he wants to get out of the tavern.
Okay.
And just get a glance at whatever these marching people are.
All right.
Because Saren mentioned that they are marching to, or they're trying to kill the beast as well, so it seems like the royal family doesn't like them. And is the bounty from the Stormshine sentry?
You don't know.
Like it's just for
It
some,
just
like it's
says like,
anonymous.
come to Stormshine. There's a beast bounty.
Okay.
That's like the extended. It's like a wanted poster.
Okay. Then he will leave, or he will exit, the back tavern after like the 30 seconds of whatever the fuck that was with Flea, and he will, then he will walk out, and he
So
will.
things have changed in the tavern. Which I'll give you a chance if you want to
Yes. Yeah,
adapt
he's,
before that.
yeah, his first thought is
On
to
your way
walk
out.
towards the door, but he's looking around to
Yeah.
see what is different.
The main thing that's different that uh the marching is almost here.
Mm-hmm.
Um and you'll notice the redheaded lady, she's sort of like slumped at the counter and like sleeping
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, head down. And the bar Saren is sort of like nudging her, like with urgency.
Mm-hmm.
And the knighted guy, the knight,
Mm-hmm.
he is now just standing out in the street right in front of this place,
Mm-hmm.
looking towards the direction of the march, just standing there, sort of
Okay.
leaning against his sword.
Mm-hmm.
That's the differences when you walk out. You can change what or do anything or keep just going out.
I think, and is the robed figure still there in the corner?
Yes.
Yeah. Then I will say that he will still continue to walk out, not rushed out, but he would like to. How far into the street is the knight?
The knight is like, so you walk out, you
Mm-hmm.
turn maybe like 10 feet, and he's just standing there in the middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
You can now see the march coming
Mm-hmm.
from here, and he's just waiting. Um, I will say to describe the knight's armor, because now
Mm-hmm.
as you see the march coming,
As well. Yeah.
um, the knight's armor and the marching people's armor are different.
Mm.
The knight is in a pure white armor with accents of blue. He has on a white helmet, and there's some rust throughout his armor,
Mm.
rust splotches, and he has one of those like helmets that have like a grill on the front,
Yes. Yeah.
like slits,
Mm-hmm.
and he has two antlers coming off of his horn,
Mm.
although one is seemingly sliced off. Um, and he is wearing a sort of blue, deep blue short cape over his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he's just sort of leaning casually on his knife. You can see coming up, marching down, they all are wearing dark armor. Can't
Mm.
see specifics, but it's just like a clear difference.
Yes. Yeah. And how many would you say?
Only like 3, 4 people. So it was
Okay.
a surprisingly loud sound
Mm-hmm.
for what seems to at least now be just a group of like 3 guys.
And is there someone obviously leading them, or is it just 3 to 4 people?
Yes.
Okay.
There's someone leading them. There's someone carrying sort of like a banner, and then there's just another person behind the guy that's leading.
Okay. Then I would say that, kind of seeing this, it is clear to Foch at least that this knight wants to confront this group. So I think that, or, not confront, but at least, is in the path of this marching army. And so I think
Hmm.
that, not like guard the doorway, but I think that Foch would want to stand in the doorway of the tavern and observe
Okay.
what would happen, but still, kind of like a pole arm holding out his scythe with his skull mask with kind of these dark green robes. So he looks quite out of place, but he's just going to stand there.
Okay. Um, the army
Yeah.
group will approach. Um, don't need to do a roll for this. You can see.
Okay.
Uh, the man leading is a pretty tall guy. He's sort of tall and lanky. He's in a deep uh, black armor um, with a helmet that is very unique from what you've seen before. His face is open. The helmet goes
Okay.
sort of around his face and it sort of ripples around his face like this and sort of moves up into two sort of horn type things going over the top back of his head.
Hmm.
And above his head, where this mask is like cut off here, there is a bright purple carving of an eye on his forehead.
Sex.
And then he is wearing a purple cape over his shoulder.
Okay.
The knights behind him are wearing black armor, but they look much more like what you think a knight would have, and they do not have the eye on the center of their heads, although they are wearing purple.
Mm-hmm. That sucks. I gotta restart. I had to restart the music. Um, then I'll say.
We can. Oh yeah, it is second one. You can switch this one if you want. But yeah, don't mind the title.
Got an interesting title.
Anyway,
Dark London ambience.
yeah, don't mind the title.
How'd you find this? It's only 4 hours ago? Without
I
some
didn't
views?
realize that.
This is some
I googled
new bangers.
D&D castle music for the
Mm-hmm.
first one, and then this was a recommended one for that.
There you go. Just some new bangers. So I will say he will continue to stand in the doorway, but there's an obvious parallel. It was a purple cape. Just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Okay. Then what? The confrontation. He's waiting for essentially the three
Just to
people
watch and
marching. Yeah. But Foche, just so you know, his alliance is much more on the antlered, white armored knights.
Well, I already know what's gonna happen. It's up to you, whatever you.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm just telling you. So that is where Foche's head is at.
Got it.
That he's kind of on this white armor side, even though he scoffed at him, but he understands the atmosphere here is not kind to his kind of profession.
As the dark knight sort of walks in, he'll sort of keep walking towards the knight, and he'll just go, "Clear the path, Deneron. Stop interfering with your games." I can type that name for you. It's sort of a weird name. Deneron is what that guy said.
Okay.
And Deneron will reply, and he'll say, "Are you having a time for an old friend? Is there some sort of crisis happening in the kingdom?" And the man in dark, we don't know his name yet, will say, "There's no crisis. It's just merely a test of my royal aptitude. Now, if you'd like to be cut down with the rest, surely you can stay there in front of me, but I know there's more than just wood on the top of your head." And Deneron will go
royal burn
like this, and then he'll sort of step to the side, and as the guy passes, he'll say, "You know Argo," and that's spelled Argo.
Gotcha.
"I know the whole thing with you all and has always been about how much you can see, but I'm honestly here as a courtesy. I'm not going to let you squander what you have and have all these innocent people just sort of be cast down the river." And Argo will sort of scoff and say, "Innocent? I believe that there is a beast about and an infection occurring. This is a crisis. When I save my people, you'll understand." And he sort of glances in at the tavern and like furrows his eyebrows a little bit, not looking at you, looking through the window. And he sort of makes his way into the tavern a little hastily, which then he will then run into you.
And this is the Black
at the
Knight.
Entrance. This is Argo, the Black Knight. Yes.
Foche will step aside, but only just. If he pays any attention to Foche at all. Like, it seems like his attention is dead set on someone within.
Your scythe is out, right?
Yes, he's just holding it like a pole arm, and so it's like you know, above head height, so it's like right here.
That's what I was thinking.
So he's going to stand in the doorway, but not like, you know, he's standing so someone could get by him without having to brush up against him, but is still very clearly visible.
He'll say, "Be mindful, hunter." He can clearly just tell you're a hunter. He hasn't seen you before, and your scythe, all that. Although if you don't want to soil that, because you're wearing that mask, right? That cute little mask of yours with something unseemly, I'd move on from here. And he'll walk in if you let him.
Foche will say nothing as of right now, but do the other knights follow in?
They sort of wait outside.
Okay. then
Next
he will
Deneron
say nothing. But as soon as Argo continues to go in, Foch would like to stand in the doorway again, but facing in the tavern.
Okay. You'll see Argo walk in, and Saren immediately will go, I'm sorry, my Grace. It's just too much. She's lost, her sister, and Argo will just sort of hold his hand up, and Saren is shut the fuck up immediately. And then you can sort of hear Deneron, who's watching behind you, just sort of mutter like, "What is that idiot doing?" And you see Argo draw this sword, and it's a crazy looking sword to you. It's really weird. It's a completely black blade, and it reflects rainbow in light. It sort of reminds you of, like, Steven, of oil, like on the ground, like gasoline. It's a very, you've never seen something like this, but you're in a world where there's a lot of weird things, so it's not like blowing your mind, but it's like very interesting looking sword. And he goes right over to the woman, and he sort of pulls up her head from her hair, by her hair, and you hear Deneron yell, "Stop!" And he doesn't seem to stop. He's motioning with his sword. Do you do anything in this moment?
Let me pull up my own character sheet real quick to get a better sense of what would Foch do in this moment.
Yeah.
How big is this tavern?
Big. I think it's something comparable. I'd say this is a specific example, but we'll get it. The inside of this tavern is the entirety of the carousel outside.
Okay.
Not huge.
Yeah.
You got room, but you know what I mean?
Yes, that is very specific. I would say that
I can have wiggle room if you're trying to do something crazy, but it's a smallish to moderate sized bar.
Yeah. Foch, upon understanding the atmosphere, he is, I'll say this. If the one shot ends here and this is how Foch dies, then I think it would be funny and fulfilling for his character. But Foch would, upon seeing the blade being drawn, I don't think he would even, really clock that it's some crazy blade. Like, it's certainly, if he were looking directly at it, and I'm sure just in this fastness of the moment, he sees it. But as soon as the blade begins to be drawn, it is obvious to Foch what Argo is planning on doing. Even if it is not killing, even if it isn't killing this lady, it is certainly not to, it's certainly to harm her in some way. So what I would do is, I think that if you would allow it, Foch would want to stride up to behind, Argo, since Argo's kind of just walking in, right? I can imagine there's a line. There's the lady, then there's Argo, and then there's me, right? Yes. Would want to follow along and get up, would want to do something he's done with many different beasts before, and he's trained in intimidation. So sometimes he is needed to get out information that uh, get her outside real quick.
Very good.
He will like to take the, grab. He's holding his scythe. He would like to grab his scythe like this, so the inside of the blade is facing, and he would like to swing it up and have it around the neck of Argo. I would like to just hold the back of, whatever his, strain is. But essentially, he would like to do an action to try and have the blade of his scythe up against Argo's neck.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. I mean, you're a skilled hunter.
Mm-hmm.
He's not.
And he would be using the balls of his feet as well.
Got it.
To kind of stride up. But he's not paying attention to the blade. He hears what Deneron is saying, and he knows Deneron is on his side, but he is not thinking in that moment as soon as the blade is drawn.
Yeah. Argo's not worried about you, so he wouldn't be bracing or defending himself. So you can definitely do this without even a check.
Okay.
And you notice his eyes grow wide, and he'll say, "And what do I find against my throat?"
Foche will whisper into his ear, not just talking like he is, and I'll say, a blade that will meet your doom if you do not let go of this woman.
While I believe your intentions are noble, Hunter, they are most certainly misplaced. Nothing will stop me from what I'm doing.
I would like to.
I am Argo.
I would like to say, I have slain greater beasts than you and have collected their souls. This is your last warning. And I will say also, I don't know if he can see it, and I don't know if the woman can see it. I guess the only person that could really see it is Saren, for sure. Is within the mask. It's these kind of, you can always see kind of these blackened eyes, or it's these sunken holes. You will see I'll say Saren, looking at me, notices that you no longer kind of see eyes within this mask, but it is this little tiny flames are now within the eyes of.
Give me.
So it's not. So, and his voice, while he kind of had a southern drawl before, is not like this now booming voice, but it certainly has. It's like Bane's kind of voice, it's behind a mask. So it's this is your last warning. It's not not a drawl to it, but that is what I'd like to add to it. So
give me an intimidation check, please.
Maybe, okay. 24?
24. Okay. So, you do all this, you look that way.
Yeah.
And he will say, he'll sort of flinch a little bit and grimace a little bit. And then he will say, "And this is your last warning to remove a blade from the prince's neck, or you will find worse things will befall her and everyone in this establishment before yourself."
You said that Argo's kind of a tall guy?
Yeah. Like 6'4".
Hmm. Foche would like to quickly look to the doorway. Has anyone entered?
Deneron is in the doorway now. But he's like shocked, honestly. He probably should be doing this. So
Then I would like to. I don't think that he could. We could do a strength check if you would like, but I don't think that he could move Argo, but he would, and I think he understands that. He's like just like a 5'10" dude, and he's kind of more nimble than strong, and there's the guy in heavy armor, but he would like to kind of move and shove Argo towards Deneron. And if
with the blade,
essentially, leaving it, but now standing in between him and the woman, and having ultimately Argo facing Deneron.
Okay. Yeah, you can do that, and he'll say, a wise deduction, and Deneron will sort of just say, you're a damn idiot. And he's looking at you now. And Argo will say, now out of my way, Hunter, and let me finish what I was here to do.
Foche would say, again behind his mask, and now both of them would be able to see kind of this like little fire in his eyes, and he would say, I didn't let you go to let you continue your deeds. I let you go so you can continue on your way.
And Argo will sort of laugh out loud, at the people. And he'll then back up and point his sword at you. The tip just sort of pointing up at your face, at your mask. And he'll say, if you came here to take down a prince, I'm afraid to say that your hunt will be quite short.
I came here to take down the same beast you are trying to take down. I didn't come here to see you kill innocent people.
And what makes you think she's so innocent?
What is her name? Her name.
What does it matter what her name is? She's sick.
I say, you do not know anything about her.
All I need to know about her is what's on her forehead. She attracts the beast.
Then let it come, and we can slay it together. You want your glory, you said. Why keep killing the ones that the beasts come for?
And Deneron will sort of go, well, he's got you there. And you can see Argo taking a moment of hesitation. And he'll sheath his sword.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say just a diplomacy check, but if he's sheathing, I'm fine with that.
He'll sheath his sword. Deneron will sort of let off like kind of a laugh and sort of slap Argo on the shoulder. And he'll say, not quite king just yet.
Fuck, I love royal insults.
And Argo will say, I must admit you have meddled. Fine. If you choose to die viciously from the beast and have it tear apart everyone around you, be my guest. Stay here. I'll let it come. We'll see what happens. And the robed man, before you can say anything, you can say something though, but the robed man will also stand up and go, my grace, service is about to begin. The one who's been sitting here the whole time. That's all that happens in that moment. You can do anything during that or after.
I'll say, Foche will say, and you will fight it with me?
He Argo will say, "You will fight it with me." Yes.
Foche will nod his head and will say, I understand, Your Grace. But know that if you had killed this woman, and he kind of like gestures back, and say, if you had killed this woman, the beast will have not been slain today, as it will.
He'll sort of scoff at you, and he'll say, "You're very sure of yourself, you know that." And Deneron will kind of go like, "Yeah, reminds me of somebody." And Argo will say, "You know what? If you can bring to me by morning, I'll be in the castle waiting for you. Any proof of this beast in any way, I'll have you join my squad."
Foche will reach towards his side and he will pull out a bag. And he will say, I will bring you proof by the morning. And then he will open the bag and let its contents fall. And it's a bag just filled with a bunch of different teeth. And he says,
That's crazy.
Yeah, he will say, just like, it's like, probably like 100 teeth. But all of them are, well, not 100, that's actually way too many. But I'll say a dozen. He hasn't got a ton of these bags. But like, one of them is like a dozen, just various fangs of different creatures. And he says, each one of these teeth is from a beast I have killed. I always keep a trophy. You will get to keep part of it.
And he'll sort of like laugh at this display, because this is like a crazy thing for someone to do. Like, this is like a very metal thing for someone to pour out a bag of teeth on the ground.
He's been doing this for 40 years. He's got this on lock.
He'll laugh at that and sort of go, "That almost sent a chill down my spine. I will admit you have heart, and it seems to be the steel necessary to face down a beast. However bold you may be, it will not be enough. And you will come to me in the morning, if you're still alive, begging me to kill anyone else that is luring this thing back towards our people. We'll be waiting for you." And then he'll sort of acknowledge the robed man who said the service thing and say, "On with your ceremonies." And he'll make his way towards the exit.
Does Deneron leave at all?
Deneron will just say, "See you in the morning," to Argo as he leaves. And Argo is very clearly trying to like ignore him. He doesn't want to be undercut. And Deneron will just stay leaning against the wall. He's been kind of chill this whole time. Except for when he was about to kill that woman.
Except for that moment, Foche will turn and unfortunately the fire is still in his eyes. He doesn't really have a way to control that, but he is looking, he wants to look back at Saren and the woman who, he didn't. I said that as Steven, thinking I knew her name, and then I looked at her notes and I was like, oh shit, I never asked for her name. I only knew the bartender's name, so it's a good thing it worked out like that. But anyway, looks back over at Saren and the lady, and just what are they doing?
She's sort of crying to herself, and he's just sort of like, comforting her a little bit. That's what they're doing. The robed man is also next to you, and you can tell he is waiting for you to finish whatever the hell you're doing, like looking around.
Okay. Then I will.
He's lurking.
I will say that he will Foche will say to both the woman and the bartender, I will say, by morning you will no longer be sick.
And she's, crying, and Saren will, sort of look at you and give you a little nod.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah. Do you turn to leave?
I do. I turn back around since the robed person is there. And is Deneron still there?
Yep.
Foche calls out and says, his voice still kind of behind the mask and still kind of not southern at all, is going to say, Deneron, I would like to speak to you, if I may, your grace.
He'll say, you don't need to call me that here. Sure, I've never seen someone, get Argo's britches so twisted since we were kids, honestly. I'd be happy. And then he's interrupted by the robed man, and he'll go, I believe this hunter has a service he said he would attend. And he's sort of looking at you.
And I'll turn and I'll say, it will be attended.
And then he'll say, then your chat will have to occur at another time.
Then I'll turn to Deneron and I'll say, what is your... And I will start walking, but I'll continue talking to Deneron. And I'll say, what is... why are you here in this town? Was it just a visit? Or do you know of this beast?
Same reason as you. Just trying to save this place. We'll catch up.
Then will you help me?
Of course. As long as you don't turn those fire eyes back at me, then you might have a problem.
I'll say the fire eyes have kind of dwindled down and his southern drawl is coming a little bit back. Still muffled behind a mask, but he'll be like, well, fear not, it only goes for bad, or for creatures of a terrorizing nature. And you are not that.
He'll give you a little nod, and you're walking out, and then in between you two is the robed man. The robed man sort of turns to Deneron, and he reaches his hand up. He's wearing gloves. He's got these robes, and he reaches his hand up to Deneron, sort of to try and put his hand on his arm to lead him out. And he'll be saying, and you are most welcome. And before his arm can make contact, Deneron is going to grab the man's wrist.
Fucking metal, let's go. Yeah.
And give me a perception check for this moment.
Where'd my dice go? There it is. A 13 only.
13. You'll notice, so in this moment, when Deneron grabs the man's wrist, the man's robe sort of falls down a little bit, and he very hurriedly moves it back. But what you notice in this instance, you're right in front of them looking at them.
Yep.
The man's arm, it's hard to see, but it's so quick. But portions of his arm, not like chunks, but just some parts of his arm seem to be pulsating red. And that's all you notice in that instant. And
yeah, but he grabs his arm.
Yeah. While that happens, I'll just let you write it down in case. But
Gotcha,
Deneron will say, you Blood Lotus freak should know much better than to lay a hand on someone like me. And the man will immediately say, my apologies, my lord, my apologies. And he'll sort of turn back around to lead you out.
Foche would like to, as Deneron is kind of turning around, Deneron would like to put a hand on the robed figure's shoulder.
You can. He won't stop you.
Yeah, and says, what was wrong with your arm? Or what was wrong with your arm?
Nothing is wrong with my arm. We must really attend the service. It's imperative. cannot be late.
We're they're as we're walking, towards there. A little bit of just the flames come back into Foche's eye, and he says, "Do not lie to me." Trying to do like a little bit of an intimidation, not really.
Give me an intimidation check.
Like, it's not a big display of intimidation, just 18.
Okay. He'll say, I'm not lying. You'll see soon. In fact, it's awful bold for the man who's hiding his face from me to worry about what I'm hiding beneath my robes. We're here.
Yeah.
And you guys are at the front of the chapel.
Okay. Then Foche will say, I'm not a very religious man. Or, I'm not a very religious man, so I'll just stand by the back, and then he'll enter in.
And you'll enter in, and you'll notice that Cornelius is in the front of the podium. There's maybe 2 other robed figures in here. There's like 1 on each side, maybe, like on a random seat. That's it. And Cornelius is sort of speaking in similar things that you read in those papers about, we are here for the eye, for sight. We hope in each day that we will be given more to see and the ability to see more that is around us. That's sort of like the general thing that he's giving.
Does it seem like his voice is projected in any way, or is it just like normal preacher, like just speaking loud in a constructed loud place? Yeah.
Give me just a D20 again.
Let's roll a natural 1, shall we? A 5. That's kind of low. I don't like that. But a 5.
As he's speaking, you feel a tiny, tiny little pinch of pain in that spot in your forehead. And he sort of goes, we wish to see, and he looks at you for a moment, the instant that happens. And then he goes back to what he's saying and continues on.
I'm gonna, just for role-playing purposes, I'd like to roll a deception check to see if I can hide that. I mean, it's a small amount of pain, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying you moved or anything.
I know,
just in that moment, he does look at you.
I would like to see, okay, great, I rolled a 19, so, I think that Foche is able to continue walking forward, but yes, that is something that he notices, and he certainly does not like that, but he continues on speaking, so that's not fun.
So if you do nothing for the whole ceremony, it'll last me about 30 minutes. Pretty much that the whole time. Just things about the eye, and we can see, and life's truth. That's about it. Nothing about any beast or any history or nothing like that. If you sit through the whole session, you can leave too if you want.
I think that Foche would sit through the whole session and would stand towards the back, never would sit at the bench, but he would just kind of stand there.
And if you make it to the end of the session,
yes,
that last 5 minutes, Cornelius will go, and now is where we connect ourselves most with the eyes, is we close our own and we intake the purest source from the world around us in hopes that it will let us see even in the darkness. And you're in the back, so he sort of makes his way to the first guy, the second guy, and he has a little, I don't know, bigger bowl type thing, and he's pouring some liquid into a little flask, and they sip it, And then he comes to you and does the same thing. Hands you.
He just hands me a cup.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Foch would not drink it yet.
Okay.
But he accepts the cup and is holding it.
Okay. Cornelius will go back. He'll finish his statements or whatever, and then it'll end, and the two other people will leave. It's about how that goes if nothing happens.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to leave? Do you want to go talk to Cornelius? Do you want to...
I would like to speak with Cornelius.
Okay. With the cup in hand?
Yes.
Okay.
What kind of liquid does it look like?
It's clear. It looks exactly like water.
Okay. He would walk up to Cornelius if Cornelius is just standing at the top. And he will say, I have not been to many services. That was enlightening. Thank you. It is clear that you all, are only here to look for the truth in the world. Does he say anything to that?
I'm glad you understand where we are coming from. Perhaps now you can see a little better than when you first arrived.
Kind of nods a little bit. I kind of glance at the page, kind of the book that he has. Do I see anything different about the page, I guess?
It's hard to see yet. It feels like something is sort of coming into focus, maybe not. And he'll say, is there a problem with your offering? We're looking at the cup.
I said, oh, that is what I wanted. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. I just wanted to see what this liquid was. I didn't want to interrupt your service.
Well, I can tell you it's just water. If you believe me or not, that's up to you. But in order to truly see what is contained within it, it has to be within you.
Foch kind of nods and he says, is it all right if I take it a little bit later?
Please, but the liquid will not do well outside of this building.
He nods, or Foch nods and says, I understand well. I'll take it in a little bit, but I wanted to ask you, as you know, I am here to hunt this beast, and it seems as though you all would also want the beast to be gone away, yes?
Of course we do. Anything that people say is a beast or troubling them, it's troubling to us, but you never know for sure what really is a beast or not.
Foch nods and says, do you all see the beast? Have you all ever seen it? Because you all can obviously see things that others cannot because of your service is not the word. It's, your devotion.
We have seen many things many people would call a beast. Many people here that we look at and see through truly, many would call a beast. Tell me, do you see anything now? And he'll sort of motion towards the book.
I do look towards the book, and do I see anything?
Give me just a straight d20 again.
Okay. A 4.
A 4? Interesting. It's like looking at the book, right? Instead of... It seems like... So, you're looking at this book.
Yeah.
It's blank pages, and it seems at first you're trying to focus, and it looks like words are forming,
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying to focus, and it's just not coming together. And Cornelius will say, perhaps take a different look. And just him saying that, you stop forcing it so much, and you can see sort of like an image being formed on the paper instead, like a crude
Mm.
sketch drawing type
Yeah, not
thing.
words,
And that's
but
becoming
just.
a lot more
Mm-hmm.
clear to you.
Okay.
And he'll say, what do you see? And give me a perception roll, see how much you actually do see.
Come on, baby, I need this. This is a 6, fuck. 14.
14. So this is a very crude drawing.
Okay.
Honestly, I'll just do it right now.
Hell yeah.
MS Paint. It's not detailed at all. It's not something that you recognize really,
Mm-hmm.
but this is what was easiest for your mind to sort of, allow you to actually see anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sending it now. It seems as if it's like a child's drawing almost. It's
Mm-hmm.
very simple and very scraggly.
Does it look like it's written in like ink, like any other thing, or like
Yes.
crayon kind of?
Imagine
Okay.
like the Marauders map kind of effect.
Yeah, I get
It's
what
like
you're saying.
this thing that's just sort of like appearing, and you get the sense that there's more to it, and that this was your brain and your roundabout way of deriving anything from this. That's what you see. And he
Hmm.
asks you, what do you see?
Foche says it's kind of blurry, but I can see that there's appears to be some sort of man or creature carrying a sword. It appears they have maybe some spikes on their head or something. I'm not entirely sure, but I
He's
believe
nodding.
when you will now turn, Foch will turn to Cornelius and will say, "Well, I believe that when you were speaking of seeing the beast in some people, I don't know if you heard of what happened at the tavern or what's been happening anywhere, but Prince Argo has been going around and slaying people. Do you know of this?"
He'll say, what the royal family does is not up to me. If the crown has deemed people unworthy to live, then that is true. The truth. And he'll say, like I said, there are many beasts here.
Mm.
And he'll look at you and he'll say, there is also one in front of me.
Foch is nodding and says, "Yeah, I picked that up when I walked into this place. I think that...
And
Is there anyone you see that isn't a beast? Anyone in this
fewer and
town that I
fewer,
could speak to?"
fewer and fewer these days.
Mm.
And he'll say, that image you saw, a figure with a sword?
Yes.
And he'll sort of like think for a moment. And he'll say, why do you hide your face from me now?
Foche will take his mask and he will put it back. And I want to, before he says anything, just a quick second, gauge his reaction in any way. Is there anything?
He glances immediately to your forehead and looks back at you, making eye contact.
Then I'll say, this is the reason.
And he'll go, and what reason is that? A mark?
He will say, I'll say, when you had given your sermon and I entered, I felt a twinge in my head, small pain, and you immediately looked at me.
And he'll say, that is the mark of the beast that they refer to in this town, why you came. When I look at you, I see a man who was marked as a beast for much, much longer than before he walked into this town. Perhaps I would not be so afraid of a new mark over top of what has already been there.
Foch kind of nods his head and says, do you think you are a beast?
And he'll say, I believe I am, yes. That is the burden of men like us.
Is there anyone I can speak to that you believe is not a beast?
If you can make it into the castle, Argo's twin brother. He does not come out often, but he is untampered. The purest of hearts. He is not like us. But someone like him is not what it will take to save this place. It will take a beast.
Foch nods and said, I agree. You know, and he will take off the mask off the back of his head, and he will say, you know that I didn't make this. He kind of shows it to, you know, if Cornelius wants to take it at all. He's not like offering it, but like he's kind of just like showing
I'll look at it.
He'll say, you know, I did not make this. I woke up one night and I found it on me. Or he doesn't speak like that. I woke up one night and I found it on me. And well, I was very young then. What I believe is everything in my life has been leading to moments like this. When there are those that are too innocent for this world. It appears that there are creatures and monsters everywhere, and not just ones that come from the caves, not just ones that come from the skies, or from the outer, or from other worlds, but sometimes they're even just people like you and me. I think that I don't know what gave me this mask, but if that makes me a beast to have slain so many creatures, then this creature is just the next in the long list of them. Do you think slaying the beast, or the beast you speak of, will save this town?
I believe so, yes.
Then it's all worth it. And I'll take back the mask, and I'll put it on the back of my head. I'll say, how many of you all are there that are part of this group?
Less than 10 now.
Hmm.
Some of us attempt to leave this place to find new truths. Some of us work much more closely with the royals. But every day it seems there are fewer and fewer that attend these services.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. You seem like a nice fellow who's just trying to see the good in the world. But I must have a mission now to slay this beast. And when I do, I'll be sure to put in a good word for this place. And he'll kind of gesture around. And he'll say, one last question that I have for you. Why were some of your men looking at the hanging bodies at the entrance of this town? They were taking notes on them.
They were studying. Those in the trees and where you entered, all were cursed with the sickness, the mark of the beast. What causes it? How can we stop it? It's what we are trying to see, and yet it remains so clouded still.
Foche will say, well, as we'll slay this beast tonight. Is there any information you can give me to help in that endeavor that you've learned from these bodies?
From what we have learned, all of them are around your age.
Mm-hmm.
When you first walked in here, I thought you were much like the rest, venturing in, jaunting about a bounty, and soon perishing alongside 3, 4, 5 other good people here. But I see the fire within you now. And given that this, and he motions towards the book, has shown you what I believe it has shown you, I believe you are the beast that I've been waiting for to save this place. I believe now, if you want to face the beast out there, drinking from the water will help you.
Foche will nod and will take a swig. What's it taste like? Does it taste like filtered Brita water?
Tastes like filtered Brita water.
Amazing.
But
in this time, yep.
You feel the water go down.
Mm-hmm.
It reaches your stomach, and immediately from the exact opposite side of your back, this tingling shoots up you, goes right around to your forehead again. And it's a searing pain. It's not as bad as the first time. Maybe because you're more used to it now and more ready.
Yep.
And you look down at your arms, or your hands, or anything that you can see of skin. You can feel your veins are sort of pulsing red. And this happens for about 10 seconds. And then it's like you have a new awareness of something that has been in this room the entire time that you just didn't see or didn't realize. It's like if you were sitting in a room and there was someone behind you the whole time and you had no idea. And then now it's like, you're just aware of them. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no one's entering, no one's leaving. But now you're aware. In front of you, you're trying your hardest to see. You're focusing your vision.
Mm-hmm.
And what looks to be in front of you is a sort of creature.
Mm.
It's shadowy. It's pitch black. Two piercing, bright purple eyes with a third above the
Mm.
two gazing at you. It looks to be in the shape of a wolf or a bear or an animal,
Mm-hmm.
but it's ever shifting and you can't tell.
And
And
is
it's
this in
staring at you
place?
directly.
Is this in place of Cornelius, or is this
Mm-mm.
just in front of Cornelius? Like,
You two are here. This thing is just like at the entrance,
oh, okay.
looking at you. Um, but no door opened or closed.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like you finally are realizing this thing has been here this entire time. That's what the feeling you get.
I will. Is the pain still there?
Pain is still there, but subsiding.
I'm going to pause just a moment. Is it doing anything?
No, it's staring at you.
I will say, as I'm looking, I'll say, do you see it, Cornelius?
Yes.
And I will say, is that it?
What you see and what I am seeing assuredly are not the same thing. Trust what you see.
Then I would like to use my ranger action
Yep.
to hunt prey,
Yep.
which is an action. And I designate a single creature as your prey.
Do it.
And it lasts until my next daily preparations. Really
Okay.
nice. Okay. I just get +2 bonus to perception checks when I'm trying to seek it, and +2 bonuses to
Got it.
survival checks when you're tracking it. Essentially,
So this thing is marked now. Got it.
Yeah, that's my prey. But it's very interesting with this music because I'm sure it's a very crazy moment but it's just this melancholy.
Nah, this music fits, I think.
I think
It's just sort of
it's
sitting there
it's sad.
staring
Yeah,
at you.
it's not like not an intense moment, but it is probably crazy for Foche because he's not. I'll say he hasn't fought fucking ethereal things.
It's a strange feeling for sure. You
Yeah.
feel weird.
Now, I also want to ask is, the only thing that's coming to mind for descriptions is it like when I've drunken it and I'm now in the kind of this mode of like I can see things? Is it like I'm in Batman Arkham City like detective mode and everything's kind of grayish and I see this creature, or is it just like the real world, like what I've been seeing this whole time, but just there's the creature? Okay. Then I need a new page. My notes always get bigger, like the handwriting as the sessions go on. I'll say I'm kind of just standing there. I'll say, what you see, is it always standing at that doorway?
No, it came in with you.
Is the door closed?
The door is open, but you aren't sure if it closed when you first came in or if it's been open this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
That's something you'd remember.
Foche is going to take his mask and he's going to have it come down. Sorry, have it come down. But, only the beast can see this, right? Facing away from Cornelius. But there is no fire in his eyes currently. But he is pulling it down, and he says to, now a little bit muffled, he says to Cornelius, he says, "Can you speak to it? Or can I speak to it?" I guess he would ask.
That is not for me to decide. It is here for you.
Then I will turn towards this beast, or turns towards this just shadowy creature, and take one step forward. And it's probably like a good distance away, but just one step forward. Does it do anything to react?
It does not. It's just staring at you. You pretty much just see solid black dripping in this shape, and these 3 solid purple eyes staring at you.
I'll say, "Can we speak?" And I'm speaking to this shadowy creature. I'll say, "Can we speak?"
You hear echoing around you, although Cornelius does not seem to move when this happens or do anything. You hear, "We all speak."
So are there more than one of you?
And it'll say, just as it feels like it's just reverberating around everywhere, even though it's coming from right in front of you.
Yep.
And it'll say, "There is one of us for everyone."
Only in this town?
For now.
Why do you not slay me now?
We find you interesting. But you will not be leaving this building.
Why have you not slain that woman in the tavern?
You sort of hear laughter, but it's something that is mimicking laughter. It doesn't have the vocal cords that we have to laugh. It's sort of this gargled sound in a rhythm that indicates laughter. That's it.
Why don't you show yourself to everyone?
And it says, "With enough time, we will."
Are you all scared?
We're not scared.
Then why not show yourself?
It takes a certain gift of sight to see us for now. Not everyone is as open-minded as some others.
And so you want to be seen.
It sort of nods its head slowly.
But now that I have seen you, you say I will not leave. Is it
You will not.
is it because I have seen you?
Because it is your time.
Time. What has dictated that time?
You being able to see me this early. If you get more powerful, I can't let you leave. You can see it sort of standing up.
Hmm. I'll say, have you been following me my whole life?
Not me. But we have.
Who is we?
What you call the beasts.
And so you know of my record.
I do.
Do you find it interesting, or do you hate me for it?
I find it thrilling. And a sort of cold seeps into the room, and you can see this like frost sort of appear from this thing's mouth in the air, and you can start to see your own breath in the room as
I
it's
kind
sort of walking
of
towards you.
I kind of glance back at Cornelius. What is he doing?
He's just watching you. He's not bothered.
Then I'll then I will say, Foche will say, if this is where it all ends, then know that I am pleased that you at, la, at least
Mm-hmm.
let me see you. And I will draw my scythe and I will scream out.
Okay.
Which notepad? I have so many. Oh, it's under this one. Okay. Deneron, it's in here! And
Alright.
I will be holding my scythe, and the flames ignite in my eyes of my mask.
This thing is going to leap at you.
Okay.
It's just going to leap at you. I'm going to roll to hit what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then we will see what happens from there, whether it makes contact or not.
Okay.
I'm thinking not. I got a 9.
No. That does not hit.
So this thing is solid.
Hmm.
It is much more animal-like. And it really resembles a wolf as it's moving. A large wolf.
Hmm.
And it lands on you, but you sort of shift your weight a little bit to where you sort of catch it on your shoulder, and you're sort of bracing against it. It went for like a sort of a mouth jaws move, and you sort of just caught under it.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can make an action or your turn.
Okay.
If we're doing initiative, so 3 actions.
Okay, I'll do 3 actions. Then I'll make 3 attacks with the creature. As it's kind of got past, I would like to, with my scythe, since I was kind of holding it like 2 arms, I'd like to swing up with my first strike and where's my dice again? I always fiddle with my d20, and then it's just gone for it. There it is. Alright. Hit. Natural
No
20!
way.
I got a natural 20.
Okay. What are we doing?
Okay. So this is... Alright. I would like to slice kind of the underbelly of the creature. Alright, so it's 2d10 plus 3 is just the base damage. Which one is the d10? Is this it? I think this is it. Yep. Yeah, that's the 12-sided. Okay. 6 and a 7, so that's 13 plus 3 is...
16.
Yeah, 16, and then times 2.
32.
32. And then the scythe has a deadly d10 trait, so if you get a critical hit, it adds... Roll this after doubling the weapon's damage. Okay, so it's just an extra d10 on top of 32 of 4, so then that is 36 total damage with my
Describe
slice.
your move very in detail. What you exactly do.
So he goes and, he's going for a lunge attack. I'm just picturing a wolf in my head, like a black wolf. It's went for a lunge attack. I kind of sidestepped it. I'll say on the side that the scythe blade is on, and so he kind of slammed into me. So I would say like his kind of belly is near me, and I would like to slice up with the blade in whatever way to slice the underbelly of it. And yeah, that is my plan with the scythe. That is exactly what I do. Is it lunged at me, I kind of sidestepped it, and I'm slicing up against its belly, if it has one.
So you slice up against its belly, yes. And as your scythe goes through it, these pink sparks just sort of seep and burn out from your slash, and where it's leaving this sort of pink burning streak in the thing. And the thing, you can see right through it. You've cut directly through its stomach, and it splits in half around your body. The pink flames sort of rush past you, and the darkness as well. It drips onto you all over, but it immediately fades away as it makes contact, and it's gone.
The whole beast?
The whole beast.
This guy's cool as fuck, dude. I love this guy. Alright. Yeah, after that, just move. I would say
silence.
He is ready to, do an upper, a downward slash move or something with the scythe to stab it. And he looks around, and it's an empty room. He looks over at Denethor, and he says, like he's kind of breathing out a little bit, but, there's still flames in his eyes. He's kind of, still in battle mode. And he's like, did you see it? Do you still see it?
Yeah, Cornelius, right? The guy.
Yes, to Cornelius, yeah.
He'll sort of look at you and say, did you see what you needed to see?
He's kind of still breathing heavy, and he says, I saw a beast. Do you still see a beast for you?
I do. And as he says this, you'll hear, Hunter! Deneron screaming for you.
Yes.
From down a little bit towards the tavern.
Yeah.
Hunter!
Yeah, I'll say Foche will sprint out. He thinks that, he's under the impression that there is, he will now be able to see a bunch of shadow monsters, and he's slain the one that was standing in the way. So he's kind of going on a rampage, so he'll absolutely come to Deneron.
They're in the tavern, so you have to run into the tavern. No one's outside.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, I'll
And-
say, the flames on his eyes are, before they were kind of in his eyes, but they're kind of licking out a little bit.
Okay.
But he runs in.
And as you come in, Saren and Deneron are hunched over something. And that's all you see on the ground in the tavern.
Do I see any shadow creatures?
No.
You motherfucker, I don't know if you just made me kill, like, her soul or something. But anyway, Foche is going to run in and say, "What is it? What is it? Is there a creature? Is there a beast?" And he sees the display, and he runs up and sees, what are they hunched over?
They are hunched over the woman. She is on the ground, and she has a cut directly up her stomach. And she is dead. She's lifeless, and Deneron is, shaking his head. And he unsheaths his sword, and he just storms out.
Foche is going to drop his scythe and kind of kneel down, and he says, "What happened?" Foche is trying to not think about that it's connected to what he did. He's trying to think about, what happened here? What happened here? Silon, what happened?
She was sick. The beast got her.
Was she just sitting here? And then she was sliced? When? Did this just happen?
We've never seen the beast, but it has taken many of us. There's not much more you can do once you've been marked by it. She knew that. At least she wasn't alone.
Foche is going to stand back up again and, look down, and still shaking his head, and he's starting to breathe kind of heavy. And, the flames, I'm going to say, are almost disturbingly large. It seems like his heart rate is up so much. He's going to pick up his scythe and run out and try and find Deneron. And he's going to yell out, "Deneron! Deneron! Where are you?"
And Deneron is halfway up the street, and he'll say, "Enough of this! Enough!" And he's marching towards the castle. He's not stopping.
I'm going to say Foche is going to sprint towards Deneron and say, "What do you mean, enough of this?"
"Never again. Too many have been lost. Too many."
Say, are you going towards Argo? What is this? What is the meaning
Not
of all
Argo.
this?
The Sentry. I will
Sentry.
put an end to this.
To the end of the beast?
An end to all of it.
Then I am by your side, Deneron. And, does Deneron say anything to that?
You will be welcome. My men are waiting for me ahead. And he stops. You have your scythe out.
Yes.
Take a look at your scythe and give me a perspective check. Perception.
Better not have red blood on it. 19. Oh, wait, plus 27.
27. He glances at it and makes you look at it. He's going to say something, but you see something as he's saying it. So I'm going to tell you what you see first.
Okay.
You see black shadow, ooze, whatever. Same thing from the creature is on your blade. He is going to say, Have you found something recently?
I said, I'm going to say, I don't see what he says. I'm going to say, there was a shadowy beast within the temple, and it said I would not allow it to leave, and it charged at me, and I sliced through it, and Foch is going to pause, and it disappeared, and then you called for my name, and he's just gonna kind of be stammering, stopping at that sentence. He can't get past that part of the sentence. But what does Deneron say?
So you've slain one.
Yes, I had to, in order to see it, I had to drink the liquid from within that place, from within the temple.
You drank their water?
Yes, and I was able to see the beasts.
He sort of looks down for a second. And at this time, he's had his helmet off, but he puts his helmet back on.
Mm-hmm.
This huge thing. He's a big guy, too. He's wide. And he'll say, then we haven't a moment to lose. They asked for proof by morning. We're giving them proof now. And he's going to start walking towards the castle.
Mm-hmm. Then I say, I will be with you, Deneron. But, as he's running along, he can't, Foch can't help but think that, the similarities between,
Mm-hmm.
So, Foch is trying, how long of a jaunt is it to the castle, I'll say?
Like 20 minutes.
I'll say Foch will say, Deneron, I'll say like after a minute or two of just, going towards the castle, I'll say, Deneron, and the flames have started to die down a little bit, but he still has his mask on. Says, Deneron, well, the slice I made through the creature is like the slice that was through that woman at the tavern.
Danorana will stop, like dead in his tracks. He won't say anything. He just stops.
And was she sliced right when after you called your name, or right before you called out for me?
She was.
Then Foch will look and will say, do you see the black goo on my blade?
I just see blood.
Foch is gonna just stand there and kind of shake his head and say, Deneron, I'm gonna start looking around. Do I see any other beasts?
Nope, no one's out either. It's dark.
I'm gonna say, Deneron, when I spoke to that creature, it said that there was one for everyone. I fear if we kill a beast, I fear if we kill a beast of anyone who is marked, it kills them.
Then we must ensure to only kill the right beasts. He begins marching again.
And I'll continue with him, but I'll say, and who do you intend? Deneron, I trust your judgment in all this.
I intend to let the king, His Grace Lord Reed, speak for himself. But my patience is through.
I say, okay, well, I will say all the information that I have, but
tell him nothing.
Okay, I will follow your lead, Deneron.
and never show him your face.
He kind of just nods, and Foch says, I understand. I will keep my mask on.
And you guys reach the bottom gates of the castle,
Mm-hmm.
sort of looming very tall above you, crooked into the sky. And we'll end there for now.
Okay.
Good place to stop.
I like it. Fuck you, dude.
That was crazy.
I thought I was gonna go on a little hunting spree. And like they had revealed themselves to everybody, but no.
More complicated than that.